Hello everyone, it's good to see you again. I have a very nice and amazing must-see attacking chess game to show you in today from 1936. So in this chess game we have Peter Dubinin, and you might never heard his name. He was, let me give you a short information about this very strong chess player. So he was chess international master in 1950. And he was the joint USSR chess champion in correspondence chess. So in 1957, and he was the third correspondence. He became third in the correspondence World Chess Championship in 1959, and also in 1962. He finished second behind O'Kelly de Galway. He passed away in Novgorod at the age of 74. In 1983, a very strong Soviet chess master. So this is a must-see, amazing attacking chess game, an all-time classic from 1936, and his opponent was probably a Soviet chess master named Petrov with the black pieces. So after this short introduction, let's check out what happened in this chess game. So Peter Dubinin starts the game with e4, and we have e6. The French defense, d4, d5, and then knight to c3, d takes on e4, knight takes on e4, and knight to d7, and this is the Rubinstein variation of the French defense, and this is the main line of the Rubinstein French. And I also play a Rubinstein variation many times in my chess games, because I think black's chances for drawing the game is very high. It's also very solid, but it's boring. It can be a little bit boring sometimes. So knight to f3, knight from g to f6, knight to g3, and then c5, a typical common move in the French Rubinstein variation, challenging the center. So d takes on c5, bishop takes on c5. So logical opening moves for black so far. Bishop to d3, queen to b6, castling, both sides castled. Queen to e2, rook over, and then c3, and we have knight to f8, question mark actually. How should black play it in this position? The correct way to handle the position would be something like queen to c7, b6, and then later bishop to b7. So you can see that this bishop is boxed in and it is stuck. So activating this bishop should be black's main objective, as you can see. So this is a very important piece which is not doing anything. This would be, again, queen to c7, b6, and then bishop to b7 would be a better way to handle the position. Knight to f8 was very passive and meaningless. So the game continued. Knight to e5, knight to g6. You can see that repositioning the knight, but then white gets the initiative very quickly. Bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop, and then h4. Very nice play by white. Quickly getting the initiative, h5, creating big weakness on the king side, and attacking with the knight is white's idea. So h5 is on the cards. And then what is black doing next? And black can't prevent that. White can also open the h file with pushing the h pawn. So this is creating a serious weakness for black. So queen goes back and then simply pushing the pawn as expected. G takes on h5, and then knight takes on h5, and white is basically threatening knight takes knight, and then queen to g4, check. So knight to h7, and this is another question mark. So if capturing the knight, actually it's unclear how white is going to win after this position, but it looks very intimidating for black, as the queen and the knight is very close to the king, and the h file is open. So, but it's still not clear how white is going to win this. Sometimes the most obvious move is the best move, but maybe, I am not 100% sure, but white can maybe push the pawn, king to g2, rook to h1, and it looks intimidating, most definitely, as the h file is also open. So after g takes on h5, we have knight takes on h5, and white is basically threatening knight takes knight, and then queen to g4. So we have knight to h7, maybe because of that. But let's play a silly move, a random move here. So we can simply capture the knight and then check the king. And where is the king going? If king goes to f8, you can see that the bishop is also going to join the attack, moving the king, and we can capture the pawn. Because if king takes knight, then checkmate. Okay, so it's very simple actually. So already after pushing the h pawn, h4, h5, white is creating big weakness, big problems in the black's camp. So knight takes on h5, and then knight to h7. And maybe black was expecting a queen to g4, and then he was going to push the f pawn and defending on g7. But then here comes a very unexpected move. Knight takes on g7. What a shot, which came out of the blue. And we have king takes on g7, and then queen to h5, and getting in and planning to attack the king with the bishop. So knight takes on g7 was a pretty strong move. But in this position, if queen to g4, the expected move, then f6 is possible. And by the way, queen takes knight is a blunder because of bishop to f4. So where is the queen going? If you move the queen to a safe spot, then capturing the pawn, checkmate. So black was expecting this, but in the real chess game, again, we have this smashing brutal attack. Knight takes on g7, king takes on g7, and then queen to h5, bishop goes back. Because let's play a random move here. If a6, then bishop to h6, king to f6, and then checkmate. And in here, if king takes knight, then black is losing the queen. Okay, so if king to h8, then knight takes on f7 and getting checkmated. And if king to g8, then checkmate. Very simple. So obviously knight takes on g7 was very strong. This time the queen is getting in. Okay, white is a piece down, but white has a very strong attack. We have bishop to f8. So black's idea is very simple. Black wants to defend on g7 with the bishop and hiding the king on h8. But then rook to e1, the rook is joining the attack. So the knight and queen combination is not good enough for checkmating the king right now, but bringing the big guns out, adding the third very strong piece for this attack. So he wants to attack the wide open king, as you can see, which is not very safe. So king goes back and then lifting the rook up. So rook to e7, checking the king, bishop to g7. What happens if king to h8, then queen to g4? Simple, but winning on the spot. So if knight to f6, can you see what white can play? Okay, black is defending on g8 with the knight. G8, queen to g8 would be checkmate, but then queen to g5. And if knight goes back, if the knight goes back, then queen to g8 is going to be checkmate. So king back, rook to e3, rook to e7, checking the king, bishop to g7. Now in here you might think bishop to h6, and that's not a bad move. But here comes a hammer blow, a bone-crushing move by Peter Dubinin. What a move, sacrificing. So king takes on g7 and then bishop to h6. We have king to h8. What happens if king to f6? Checkmate. So rook takes on g7, king takes on g7, bishop to h6, king to h8, and then rook to d1, and rook lift is on the cards. The other rook is going to join the party. So knight to f6, attacking the queen. But then Dubinin played one another very, very beautiful move. He spiced things out with this move. Bishop to g7, discovered check, double check, absolutely amazing. Of course, if king to g8, then queen to h8 is going to be checkmate. So king takes bishop, and then we check, checking the king, and also capturing the knight with check, and the king is getting killed in the battle, because after rook to d3, there is no defense against rook to g3, and then checkmating the king. So what happens if rook to d7? Then we have this continuation, rook to g3, king to h7, and black is getting checkmated. So you might also ask what happens after rook to g3. If king to f8, then we have a very simple winning move, knight to g6. So if king goes here, that's checkmate. And if king goes to the left, that's also checkmate. Very beautiful, amazing stuff by Peter Dubinin. And it all started in here, question mark, knight to f8. Again, why not queen to c7, pushing the pawn b6, and then developing the bishop? When you play the French Rubinstein variation, you can consider this setup actually. This was a time-wasting, meaningless move, and basically Petrov got punished brutally in this chess game. Mr. Petrov, probably a Soviet chess player, I don't know who he is. He also doesn't have a full name, and he doesn't have a picture as well. But we know who Peter Dubinin was. He was the Soviet correspondence chess champion, a very strong chess player. So bishop takes. So this is just a quick recap. h4, and then pushing the pawn h5. A very strong move actually. So knight takes, and white sacrificed the knight, and then the queen is getting in, lifting the rook, and then sacrificing the exchange. Amazing attacking moves, amazing chess game. Check, discovered check, double check, and then check, capturing, and then lifting the rook up, so there is no defense against rook to g3. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care, and bye bye.